Let me tell you the story about the retaining wall. My husband had planted Pfitzers in the retaining wall. And he went fishing one weekend. And when he come home, I had pulled all the Pfitzers out of this triple retaining wall. Oh, he stomped around. He was so mad at me. He came in the house and shook his finger at me, and he said, "What are you going to do now?" And I said, "I'm going to plant roses." "Roses," he said. So then he comes back out and he stomps, and then he comes back in. He says, "You're going to need 80 rose bushes. You can't afford those." And I said, "Well, I'll figure it out." So anyway, that year, as I cleaned my flower beds, I divided my perennials, and I put some in gallons and I put some in quarts, and I did an ad in the newspaper, and this is when yard sales were very, very first coming out, and I called it a real yard sale, and I sold the gallons for $1 and the quarts for 50 cents. Well, a lot of people came because they thought it was a yard sale, and then when they saw it was flowers, they just flocked here. The word went out, and we sold everything, and I had more than enough for my roses. And besides, we had the funnest day. We laughed, and it was so fun. And so then the next year I did it again, and that time, the next year we did both Easter and Memorial Day sale. And that's all we did. It was a real yard sale. And we have that name patented now, and it's on our sign. But here we are, I don't know how many hundreds of years later, and we're still doing this. And having fun. So that's how we started. This is the striped iris. It has perfect foliage always, from early spring to late fall. It's so beautiful. It's special to kids because if you bent down and smelled this bloom, it smells just like grape Kool-Aid. So fun. This is lilium. And lilium and delphiniums are my two favorite plants because, well, their blooms are so beautiful, but the foliage on the lilium is so lovely. It's interesting because I used to grow the Asiatic for my gals, my gardeners, and when we opened the cold frames at Bear Lake a couple of winters ago, we had voles climb in our cold frames. And those voles tunneled into each pot and ate the bulb. But they did not bother the longifolium or the tiger lilies. And so I only sell the longifolium and the tiger lilies. Okay, let's go back here. Oh, this. Okay, this is lamian. And the ferns come up in it. The lamian blooms and blooms, and I never ever touch it. Let's see what else. Oh. I love this stuff. This is Grandma Louise's fern. It's actually a philippendula or a meadowsweet. And the blooms are going to stand about this high, and they'll be white lace. But that foliage is breathtaking. And this has been here for about 20 years, and I've never ever moved it. Poppies have this wonderful, wonderful covering, and then that covering falls off, and there's the silken plant. And after this blooms, then here is their seed pod. And every one of them are just absolutely interesting. The big purple allium is called Purple Sensation. And I just dropped seeds in there from one that I had bloomed someplace else. And those seeds grew up in my tulips. Now the tulips are through blooming, and if you look careful, you can kind of see some tulip foliage. But this gives me another season of bloom, and I planted lilium in there, which means I'm going to get 3 seasons of bloom in one little area. This is a shade ground cover. It's called Archangel or Lamanstra, and personally I call it heavy metal because it has this silver streak in the leaves. This plant grows without any sun and without moisture, both drought and shade. And isn't that remarkable? There is a plant for every situation. If it's a perennial, you just put the right plant in the right spot.